Well, ladies and gentlemen, so today we are going to be doing and tackling this series of the 6th house, and we're going to be doing 6th lord in the 11th house, and what happens when the planet that is controlling your 6th house is going into your 11th house. And as always, if you do not know where your 6th house is placed or what planet is controlling your 6th house, what other lords through houses are going on in your horoscope, for that, check out the links here so you can get your full astrological report, including all my books, Conjunction, Astrology, and Aspects of the Speed of Light. So, 6th house. What is 6th house? 6th house represents debts, disputes, enemies, diseases, obstacles. Oof, man, that's bad. But it also represents small animals, small pets, non-profit organization. It represents, servicing other people, pretty much being a service to other people. It represents disputes with other people, and 6th house also represents your ability to have a routine in your life. Like whatever routines you have in your life are pretty much a dedication of the 6th house. So in a way, it is quite a difficult house, but at the same time, it has its benefits, that you have seen so far in the 6th house series. Now, what is 11th house? 11th house represents gains, all kinds of liquid gains, liquid money. It represents network circles. It represents your elder siblings, your, like elder brother, sister. That's what it represents. 11th house represents, social, like societies at large. It originally is controlled by the sign of Aquarius, so also represents like scientific thinking, but then again, it's not really about scientific thinking. It's about doing things together to make a social progress. It also represents stock markets. It represents any kind of markets where the money and liquid money is gained through. Okay, so when 6th lord goes into the 11th house, what this shows is that your network circles, the people who help you gain, are now kind of becoming an obstacle for you, especially if you go through the time period of the 6th house, which is called Mahadashas. So if you're going through the 6th lord Mahadasha and is sitting in the 11th house, your network circle, people that you know near and dear, who you know from your professional network circle, may actually end up becoming an obstacle for you than to benefit you, meaning that you use your network circle to gain a certain job. Yet, because your network circle wasn't so, the way you wanted, they kind of ended up giving you the wrong information regarding the job, or you got the job that they told you was something else, turns out to be something else, and you kind of get into a little argument with 6th house's disputes, because now the 6th lord is going to the 11th house, not the 11th lord is coming to the 6th house. Okay, so it's like, in life you get forced to be interacting with certain people, like those friends or those acquaintances that show up to a party and you have to interact with them even though you kind of don't like them. These are the situations that get forced with the 6th lord in the 11th house. Besides you having your own close network circle, you kind of run into people who just always seems to put an obstacle in front of you, always seems to just make things clogged in your pathway. But what this also shows is that because see, 11th house is also your hopes and wishes. Like whatever your wishes, whether your wish is to have $1 million, a yacht, a beautiful wife, or to be spiritually out there, to have the most amazing spiritual knowledge. So your hopes and wishes are now transformed into non-profit work. These are the people who want to help society at large. These are the actual people who want to have their gains come through non-profit organization. They want to go out in third world and help these people. They want to be part of this political social reform. And that's, this is how they get, involved in these things, because they run into not only the bad network circle, people who put in obstacles, but in the mix of those obstacles, you also find people who help you with your desires to help society become a better place. Now, whether this could be medically, like you are a doctor, you want to go to third world countries and you want to help everybody, give free medical service, or you want to help animals, be like rescuing animals, like people working in animal shelter or animal rescuer, veterinarian, that can happen with this, or simply you love gaining through other people's death, or through your network circle you get into debt. So this is how the exchange happened. Usually, in order to make gains from other people's debt, this 11th lord has to be in the 6th house, which we'll discuss obviously in the coming months. But when 6th lord goes into the 11th house, that means the debt is now coming to the 11th house. So through your network circle, you somehow get into debt. You go outside to party, and next thing you know, you end up paying the bill, and you put it on your credit card. You are in debt. Your elder siblings may be the cause of your debt. Perhaps your elder sibling wanted some money, emergency money. You didn't have it. You took on debt to help your sibling out, and you got into a debt that way. So it's either or. And as far as like the illnesses or diseases are concerned, you probably suffer diseases of the thigh, like legs, not even thigh, like knees, below the knees. That's 11th houses, and 12th house is the feet. So below the knees, you may have some injury, you may suffer some pain, during the time period of the 6th house, whether it's Mahadasha, Antradasha, Paryantradasha, Charadasha, Antracharadasha, Antraparyantradasha. I know, it's confusing, but you just gotta stick with me here. I make things a lot easy. Okay, so that's what 6th house really does, is that the people that you kind of run into, not only the good comes out of it, but the bad. You kind of just run into disputes, you run into all these arguments with your network circle. But again, the good thing is that you want to help society. You want, your hopes and wishes is to make the third world things, to make the unprivileged people get a better life. And depending upon what planet is placed, they kind of have their own different results. Let's say if Sun controls your 6th house, Sun goes into the 11th house. What this shows is that your personality, your self-esteem, your ego is developed through network circles that are related to unprivileged, non-profit organization who work on a behalf of third world countries where people are, unprivileged. And this is what shapes your personality. Your personality is all about helping other people, helping, societies at large. But the problem is that you yourself are very egoistic. Because of the fact you run into network circles and friends who are trying to damage your personality, damage your self-esteem and ego, and trying to tell you, oh, I got more money, I got this and this and this, what do you got? And you run into these people, and because of that, you become very egoistic. You say, I want status, I want money, and you become this money-hungry person. Because of the fact Sun is an enemy sign of Saturn. The sign itself is not an enemy. Because Saturn rules it, and Saturn represents these things, Sun feels like, I have to work for my status, what the hell? I have to go out and fight for my rank now. And because 6th house itself is a fighting and, battleground and, going out there and fighting for yourself, now the king has to fight for its status. King has to fight for respect. And that's where the ego kind of gets damaged. They're like, God, why do I have to run into these people? Why do I have to do all this to make people love me or care for me? But at the same time, the personality is dedicated towards the service industry, dedicated towards government service, dedicated towards, helping the unprivileged people. But at the same time, these people don't look for status through that. Because again, Sun is not in its element. It wants to gain status. It wants to regain its throne as a king by helping people in the third world. You may also take on debts on behalf of your father. Perhaps your father was sick or in a business trouble, and you had to take on debt on behalf of him to help him pay his bills. Or he was pretty much, ill, and you took on debt. If Moon is ruling the 6th house, goes into the 11th house, shows that somebody who has this great philosophical and spiritual view on how to make world a better place. They want to be part of large spiritual and religious organization and philosophical organization. They want to be part of organization that go out to third world countries and give up philosophical views on things, help people with their spiritual views, help people with their religious views, and that's what gives them satisfaction. Moon also represents nurturing and caring. These people want to be part of a large society that can help small animals, again, sick people, so they become good nurses, they become good, caretakers, caregivers, and their mother was part of a similar situation. And that's where their mentality came into play, that, okay, I want to have this ability to help people through this view. So Sun and Moon kind of are similar. One is your personality and your ego that wants to do these things and shaped by the father. The other one is your mind. The way you're thinking inside, what I'm thinking right now inside of me is, well, I want to communicate things of the astrology with you because I find it interesting. I'm not obsessed about it, but I find it interesting and I want to communicate that. That's what my mind is want to think. So it's part of your personality again. Mercury rules the sixth house, goes into the 11th house, shows that somebody who uses their intelligence, analytical thinking, their logical mind to make business deals happen. They are the people who want to communicate about things that are happening in other unprivileged societies. Animals who do not have the voice, they become the voice of them. But at the same time, Mercury is also a businessman. Mercury, what it wants to do, it wants to go to third world countries and start a business with that nobody else has started. They love negotiating things on behalf of the sixth house. Perhaps like they feel that if a slipper costs $10 in US, and if they were to go to South Korea where a slipper would cost 10 cents to make and they're being sold for $5, perhaps I can make it for 10 cents and just sell it for 95 cents. Imagine how much wealth can I get due to the numbers. That's how they're thinking in this in kind of terms. They become very entrepreneurial in third world countries. At the same time, they're very good with numbers. They become natural accountants, financial analysts, and financial advisors. And their everyday routine is about working with numbers, working with money, and having business deals happen. And at the same time, they're very good negotiators. You cannot argue your way around these people because Mercury is speech. Mercury is now ruling your sixth house. It shows through speech, you're able to negotiate things. But in other sense, also, Mercury can get you in trouble. It can get you into disputes with your network circle by speaking too much, speaking ill, or just saying stuff that you shouldn't be saying. You go into a party, you're bragging about yourself, you're saying this and that, and people get turned off by you, and they kind of just get into an argument, and people don't want to be with you. Those are the situations can occur. But here, Mercury is always, trying to negotiate deals regarding how to open up non-profit organization. It wants to make deals for betterment of the society, or it just might be for a business sense itself. Okay. Venus controls your sixth house, goes into the 11th house, shows that you will have this great, tremendous love and passion for small animals, for people who are sick, unprivileged, people who do not have the voice or the ability to, make things happen in their life. You run into a large organization of women who do non-profit work, and that becomes your everyday routine to deal with women in your work, in your daily life. Okay, perhaps you work with abused domestic violence women, and you're in a part of it that our organization, even as a guy, and you're working with women in dispute. You run into dispute itself with women. You run into women, whether girlfriends, wives, who kind of get into disputes with you, or they will put you into debt. You run into a beautiful woman, supermodel, but at the same time, you got to take care of her. You got to give her all the best luxurious things. And after a point, you can't. And what happens is you have to now take on debt to give her an anniversary gift, to give her a nice BMW or a Lexus or a Tesla and make her feel good because, hey, she's beautiful, you got to keep her. And so that's how you get into debt on behalf of your wife. Or perhaps your wife needed an operation, was sick, needed health care. You took on debt in a good sense for that way because, hey, you got to help your wife out. But at the same time, there's this great love for animals, and you want to be part of this large organization that helps these people. You want to have this complete compassion and passion for such things. And at the same time, you yourself or your wife can be a great designer, fashion designer, who can change societies with her design, like Coco Chanel. So you can have those artistic talents where everyday routine is revolving around dealing with network circles of creative things, or your wife is involved with those things. Let's say if Mars controls your sixth house, is in the 11th house, shows one has the fighting ability to go out and fight for social reform, for social welfare of other people who are not getting it. You're that first soldier, that first person in line in a rally to go out and fight against the government, to go out and fight against the people who are suppressing people in the sixth house. You will go in and physically fight people who are harming animals. And because Mars is that energy, that boiling hot energy, and Mars is a soldier. Soldier doesn't want to negotiate through voice; it wants to negotiate through its fist and its weapons. So you will be part of a large organization that may go out and create wars with other countries. So pretty much you can be a military person, part of a large military organization. You go to other countries, supposedly third world countries, to help them, and you go out, invade them, and you try to help them. And a soldier does this. If you're a soldier with this placement, the reason why you're fighting is because you want to help the social welfare and for social reform in certain country. Perhaps you're in Afghanistan, you want to help all these children and women not be suppressed by these Neanderthals, you know. So that's how your mentality is, and you will fight, you will shed blood, and you get into disputes with your male siblings, or male elder siblings, or male network circles, and you get into on debts on behalf of these people. But you have this bloodthirst to fight for the unprivileged things. Let's say if Jupiter controls the 6th house, goes into the 11th house, shows us somebody whose everyday routine revolves around dealing with finances in a large organization, which could be banking, financial analysts like the Mercury, because Mercury and Jupiter are similar things. One deals with number and money, one is about money and dealing with money. So it's the same kind of thing. Also, you want to be part of a large organization that will philosophically and religiously, help develop other countries and nations. Perhaps you're this really, spiritual person who wants to go out and help people spiritually, help them with their spiritual beliefs, help them with their philosophical belief. And due to that, you become this part of a large spiritual organization, perhaps even a head of a spiritual organization. But at the same time, what this shows is that you find your gurus, your teachers, in the most, I don't know how to word this, pretty much when you're in the need of somebody, whenever you are down to the wire, where you are against the wall, where you do not have any help, you're in the battlefield ready to fight, you will find a mentor and a guru who will help you gain a philosophical view on how to fight this battle. Kind of like Krishna and Arjun, how Krishna was helping Arjun with his philosophical views in the war. That scenario, even though I don't know what Arjun's horoscope is, but you find your gurus in a situation where there are disputes are happening, or where there's a lot of blood being shed and a lot of battlefields, and your gurus are very realistic. You don't find perhaps even religious gurus or philosophical gurus. You might be a con artist, you might be a pickpocketer, you might be a great slick businessman, and you learned these tricks from a certain person who became your guru and became your teacher. And because of that, you were able to gain a lot. But again, disputes with gurus can happen as well. Your teachers, you may not agree with your teacher's view, and you get into disputes with them. But here, Jupiter pretty much wants to help societies and help unprivileged people through its knowledge, through its intelligence. Okay, let's say Saturn controls the 6th house, goes into the 11th house, shows that you will be able to make a social reform, social change in society slowly and steadily. You won't be like Mercury and Mercury or Moon, which are two of the quickest planets. They're like, okay, let's do it now. Let's make the change now. Let's make it happen now. Saturn is like slow. It is disciplined, structured, it's organized, where it can frustrate you. Like, why am I not able to make a change? Why am I able to get out of debt? Why am I not able to help these small animals? And usually by mid-30s, late 30s, these people start to gain that network circle that will help them. Early on, they run into wrong network circles. Early on, they can get into people who are of criminal mind, people who are, are not in a higher level of society. Like they make contacts with people in the ghetto who may actually hurt them, harm them. But later on, they become very mature, where they're now making friends and network circles who are much older than them. They love being in a company of, very mature, older, perhaps even handicapped people who teach them about how to help third world countries, how to help people and animals in trouble and in a need. But slowly and steadily things happen in their life. It's not sudden. And Saturn can here frustrate you because you are not getting the right friends in life. You're not gaining the right things in life. But as soon as you hit 32 to 34, that's where Saturn starts bringing improvement, because 11th house is an Upacha house. Saturn is the most natural malefic planet in Vedic astrology because of the fact it wants to discipline you. Mars just wants to make you fight and win the battle right away. So it's not the most malefic. You can fight the war in 10 seconds and win. Where Saturn is like slow, agonizing torture, and then through torture you have to win. So this is why that frustration is there. Okay. So guys, this was my analysis of 6th Lord in the 11th house. If you're new to my channel, subscribe below. And again, if you do not know where your 6th Lord is placed, including all the secrets of astrology through my books, for that, check out the links here. Otherwise, we'll see you next time with our video on gemstones. I'm going to make that. All right. Bye.